Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our channel. I'm Celinne. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about sex, divine union, and everything love related. We're going to be diving into the philosophies of sex and many more. So keep on watching. I have been on Substack, and there is a whole lot of psychosexual people there. I've had a swell time learning from psychologists, from researchers, several professionals that have been studying about our psyche. And this is the kind of eros that is not just physical, but it's everything that you consume. You are training yourself to feel ecstasy in everything that you do. Several of our Dionysian pursuits, it's really helped me understand my mind better, my psyche, how I can honor my pleasure better, and to teach this to several of my clients. It has made my life rich, wildly exciting, fulfilling, radiant. There is so much more depth and curiosity. I think that our eros, this life force, we need a continuous filling and emptying. One of the writers that I've been reading this week is Anais Nin, and I've been reading The Delta of Venus. Her writing is quite provocative. She writes fiercely about sexuality, about groundedness. Henry Miller is another crazy guy, so is Bukowski. They all don't have filters, but you're reading their writing, their pieces, and it's just so wildly vivid, but at the same time, you're having an existential crisis. And so they write about the most obscene things, but when a piece is so good, you're just like, whoa, mind blown. It rearranges your whole perspective about everything. Like, that is the type of serotonin dopamine I'm into. But Anais and Henry, they're alchemical union, and they're both sparking these creative forces within each other. It becomes very synergistic force that refines their gifts even more. And so one of the topics they talk about is pleasure and sex. And Anais is pleading for this return of erotic multidimensionality. Beauty is in the act, the soul, in the flesh. This is the type of medicine that we need, especially now. We are living in an era of erotic famine, where sex has been hollowed into mechanics, performance, friction, logistics, the tyranny of the climax, pornography peddles disembodied acts, and movie tries to sell us with these sterile crescendos. We've been trained to observe sexuality, not to inhabit it. So the temple of the soul has been reduced to something transactional. Sex loses its power because it has become mechanical. When it's reduced to performance, to friction, to survival, what was once alchemical turns vapid because it is no longer feeding your soul anymore. And this is what Anais was writing about. She lived through the poetic sensation and realized that the flatness of pornography masked as literature, sex must be mixed with tears, laughter, words, promises, scenes, jealousy, envy, music, dancing, wine. She named what most forget, that sacred sexuality is dimensional. It is not an act, but it is a ceremony of consciousness. It's not something that you do, it is something that you become. And we've really lost this art of erotic intelligence. This is important because sex is a gateway to commune with the divine. It is a ritual. Sex as we know it now is often disenchanted, linear, goal-oriented, a collapse into performance, not having the presence. And no one teaches us otherwise because porn trains us in friction and not feeling. Movies, again, teaches you to just climax and not communion. We are shown everything but how to be inside a temple of another soul. In ancient practices, such as Tantra in Buddhism, Taoism, yoga, these are all sacred practices, but these sacred practices have been corrupted to disempower and have this very skewed sense of the female body. My most transcendent encounters weren't with skilled lovers, but with the ones who were present, those who knew how to breathe with me, not just into me. Because sex is not just rubbing skin, it is sound, it is silence, emotion, memory, and breath. It is the rhythm, the prayer, the ache, and the delight. It is grief, it is joy, it is union if you let it be. So in Tantra, they would create these environments, drumming, music, food. It's creating this resonant field of play. It is deeply healing and transformational. And again, sacred energetic exchange, sex becomes a meditation, not to escape the world, but to enter it more fully. You will actually trip out and activate your DMT. What you used to think of what sex is quite elementary to what a full body immersion of when two biofields collide within each other, into the cosmos. This is why EMC squared, like Einstein talks about love. Even with your own solo sexual practice, this becomes a spiritual hygiene. This is a realignment with your erotic sovereignty. And this is paramount. On the book that I was reading, there was a piece that Henry Anais was commissioned by a collector to write erotica. He just wanted to have the scenes and omit the poetry. And she resisted writing these acts because she wanted to write the essence. She gave him soul. And in her refusal to flatten sensuality into smut, she taught us something more of a deeper truth, that our passion, our eros, is not about sex, it's about aliveness. It is about the depth, about seeing the divine through our hunger. We are meant to make love, we are meant to become it. If you notice, Shiva and Shakti, Mary Magdalene and Jesus, it's always a pair. And we're not just speaking about sex, you are remembering its origin as a divine act of coherence. And when we speak from this place, you restore it for everybody else. In the pre-fall of our consciousness, sexuality was never separate from spirit. The act of union was not just to procreate, but to liberate the grid. Two bodies enter coherence, and in doing so, they healed the world through their harmony. It was understood that when two beings entered this erotic coherence, their mind, hearts, and bodies were aligned. Their union echoed into the morphogenetic field, recalibrating distortions into divine proportion. This is why sex in its purest form is not just desire, it is geometry, a field event, a ritual of alignment. All things that are divine, beauty, music, nature, birth, union, these all carry coherence. Coherence is when all the parts of you are moving in the same rhythm. The breath aligns with your body, the heart aligns with the intention, the spirit aligns with the moment. In sacred sexuality, when two beings are coherent within themselves, their union becomes an act of creation, not just a release. This is the origin point. You go into 0 point. Sex as this living code, a restorer of Eden, a return to the one through the two. So what is modern sex missing? It is missing coherence. It is missing attunement. It is missing the field. It has become a fragmented echo of something what was once whole. And what we're doing now through our voices, our memory, our embodiment is restoring the whole. Sex is not just power, it is prayer of precision. And when this is done in truth, it aligns your cells to the source pattern. Now let's talk about kinks. Kinks are soul fractal memories Soul dynamics, they are expressions of energy seeking resolution. Some kinks are trauma-based compensations, maybe from control, pain, domination, submission, as a way to rewrite power imbalances. There are also soul contracts replaying, maybe past life roles resurfacing in erotic imprints, polarity desires, masculine, feminine, light, dark, order, chaos, towards coherence, desire for intensity when intimacy feels inaccessible. There are the divine archetypes distorted into shadow. What determines a distortion? The distortion isn't in the kink itself, it's in the state of consciousness from which it arises. So we can ask ourselves, is this kink rising from a wounding or from wholeness? Does it bring me deeper into truth, trust, coherence, or more into dissociation? Is this sensation bypassing emotion or opening it? Is there reciprocity and reverence, or more of objectification and control? There's this girl talking on TikTok, and she was like, a lot of these dating apps, Hinge, Bumble, they're literally free sex work. And it's kind of true. A lot of these distorted kink seek sensation over connection. When you have a healed kink, this becomes sacred play, powerful integration, erotic alchemy. The original templates, many kinks are echoes of sacred archetypes that has been twisted through trauma grids, such as the Dom sub distorted Heiros Gamos polarity. Bondage is another surrender control themes from soul contracts. Pain, pleasure, thresholds, distortion of the Kundalini awakening dynamics, role play, an echo of the soul memory and dimensional identities. In its purified state, these can be tools of transformation. But if distorted, they will repeat loops of fragmentation. Not all kinks are bad, but they are doorways, because it's teaching you that, hey, this is where your body is still trying to speak truth, even if it only knows how to whisper it. Bringing consciousness, presence, sacredness to the kink becomes a portal of healing. If you leave it in an unconscious compulsion, then it becomes a loop of distortion. I didn't realize how philosophical sex really was, how physics, chemistry was so entangled into it, how encoded, how distorted, how deeply unspoken. It was really kind of an educational experience for me. The more I speak to women, clients, friends, sisters, the more I see how many of us carry a nervous system that says, you must endure, not enjoy. You must perform, not receive. I must be pleasing and not free. We're taught how to look seductive, but never how to feel safe in our own skin. We are trained in desirability, but so starved of actual embodied desire. This is when touch becomes so political. Pleasure is power, and sex is philosophical. It is where the body remembers its divine truth or reenacts its trauma. For so many women, the bedroom has become this altar where centuries of oppression, violation, objectification, and silence is still playing out. And it's really sad to listen to, talk about these with several women that I've encountered, because we're all quietly, even consensually, missing something so massive in our spiritual life, because our culture never taught us how to feel without fear, only to perform and survive. There is this Japanese art called shibari. On the surface, this can feel ceremonial, it's precise, it's beautiful, and yes, in the right container, it can evoke surrender. but many are unknowingly reenacting ancient inversions and replaying this pain as pleasure. It's just repackaged trauma as kink, the wrist bound, the ankles tied, the silent body being arranged for display. These are not just props, these are ancestral memories. These were lifetimes for many of us where pain became the only path to attention, where submission was survival, where our pleasure was never ours. And so we learned to eroticize our own suffering because it was the only way to exist inside our body. But now we're waking up, we're feeling again, we are reclaiming the root, the womb that holds the shame, the fascia that holds the grief, the pelvis that's holding all this memories of being owned, subjected, controlled, ignored. And when this energy is not witnessed, not moved, it becomes rage, it becomes numbness, it becomes eruption. But when it is fully seen, fully felt, held, honored, it becomes alchemy. It is transformational. Sacred sex is not performance, it is a prayer, it is a somatic meditation. It is a nervous system safety, cellular truth. It is sovereignty and sensation. It does not hurt. It does not override. It does not distort. It attunes. It nurtures, remembers. It is about energy reclamation. It is about returning the feminine to her original seat of embodied power. The womb as this sovereign void, the body as this temple of truth. All of this is orbiting around the question, who holds the power in the body and what does the power serve? For centuries, the feminine body, the living altar of creation, has been distorted, dismembered, commodified, or feared. We were taught to seduce, but never to sit on the throne, to be desired, but never sovereign. And so unconsciously, many women surrendered the seat of the soul, the womb, in exchange for love. Maybe we should recenter women again. But the body never forgets. The womb holds everything because the womb is the portal and the power source. The womb is not just an organ, it is the original technology. It holds memory, prophecy, intelligence, rage, longing, and blueprint. It is the direct connection to the void, the creative chaos from where all life, form, and energy emerges. When men unconsciously extract from it through unconscious sex, through domination, through control, it's not erotic. It is drainage. It is why so many women feel depleted, not turned on. It's about how the act honors source. My teacher, Kasia, she is a Taoist nun and a dominatrix, and she is walking a very ancient path. What she does is not erotic roleplay, it is a psyche repair. When a man surrenders power within a safe container, it is not about humiliation. It is about releasing the grip of the fragmented masculine. You are emptying what has been locked, silenced, shamed. And so she reads the energy, listens to the breath. Her sensitivity is heightened, becomes the priestess at the threshold of his trauma. And she guides him with clarity and reverence to reclaim wholeness. It is dominance not as abuse, but as an energetic redirection. The feminine holding the field of coherence while the masculine can melt into truth. So I'm being called to talk about a lot of the philosophies of the divine union because what I carry now is not just a personal experience, but it is a lineage remembrance, how my trauma clearing from the sacrum and root, it was not just for healing, it was an initiation back to wholeness. And I know many will go through the same path. There is a lot of shame buried in there, especially in a root. Future episodes, I'll talk more on the sacral wounds because women carry so much power distortion in sex and relationships and the path back to erotic sovereignty. So, the real remembering of sacred dominance and feminine leadership. The role of the feminine is containing without collapsing. To be dominant in this sacred sense is not to control, not to be a tyrant. It is to contain, to hold a man so deeply that he no longer has to grip, to be his space where his nervous system can finally exhale, to be the womb, the well, the silence beneath his thunder. And the most powerful offering a woman can give a man is a space to surrender without losing his edge. You are the field in which he is learning to let go of the mask, to detangle wealth from identity, to be loved beyond performance, and remembering that devotion is not weakness, but it is your initiation. So, yeah, please send your girlfriends and wives to me. Sex is no longer just about pleasure or reproduction. It is about remembrance. It is restoring our sovereignty, safety, sacredness, both in body and consciousness. We are entering this new paradigm where sexuality is no longer shaped by dominance, shame, or fragmentation, but by our integration, reverence, and resonance. For men, you were not born to conquer the feminine. You were born to attune to her, to listen, to feel. The masculine sexual awakening is learning to let go of the need to perform, learning to receive, listening without fixing, penetrating only when first opens freely and safely. Your true power is not on how long you can last, how hard you are, or how many you've conquered. It is in your presence, your coherence, your ability to remain in your body while she opens hers. This will allow her to really unlock, because sacred masculinity doesn't take, it holds. It doesn't dominate, but it witnesses. It doesn't try to chase, but instead it anchors her. For women, your body is not a battleground. It is a cathedral. It is divine. Your sexuality does not exist to validate someone else's desire. It is your source code of power. Most women are afraid of their power. The feminine sexual healing is remembering your pleasure is not shameful. Your too much is sacred, and no is holy. Your orgasm is a right, not a reward. You don't need to contort yourself to be loved. You're not here to be performed or consumed. You are here to be received. When you reclaim your womb, your voice, your rhythm, you restore the feminine frequency of earth. We have this philosophical shift from ownership to sovereignty. We are leaving behind a culture where sex was transactional, masculine power was built on domination, and feminine power was silenced, hidden, or commodified. We're entering a new paradigm where sex becomes a ceremony of coherence. Relationships are built on energetic reciprocity. The body is honored. We're no longer asking, how do I get what I want? We're now asking, how do I become safe enough to be fully known? This is the return of sacred polarity, the remembrance that the masculine moves in direction, the feminine moves in depth. And together they create this field where divinity can incarnate through sensation, word, and breath. For high-level masculines whose nervous system has been wired for performance, precision, and projection, the path to surrender is not to oppose his pride, but to meet it with deeper intimacy. Because beneath that ego, the inflation is not really arrogance. It is a defense against invisibility. It is a soul that is trying to say, if I am not admired, will I still be loved? To unmask the performance, you don't have to confront the mask. You create a field where he doesn't need it. Recognition without display. Pleasure for high achievers is often tied to being seen as significant or being admired for their uniqueness, having his or her intellect, aesthetic, and vision validated. But true erotic surrender will only happen when he or she starts to realize when he can be seen without having to perform. He can be adored without proving anything. He can be powerful without curating power. His source of pleasure isn't just in what he gives, but in being received in ways he never thought possible. So there are 3 ways that you can unlock his surrender. First is mirrored praise. His ego doesn't need to be deflated. It needs to be held. Speak directly to the real man beneath the mask. You can say, I see how hard you work to hold it all, but I also see who you are when you're not having to hold anything. Praise the essence, not the image, and call forward the soul behind the structure. Second is erotic stillness and non-performance. One of the most disarming things for a pride-structured man is a woman who doesn't try to impress him, but who is fully in her body that he feels drawn inward. You slow the rhythm, drop him into sensation instead of validation. Make stillness feel more erotic than an achievement. Lie on his chest, put your hand on his heart, and just say nothing. Let your breath and touch be the invitation. Let your silence expose what the performance is trying to cover. Third is sovereign erotic leadership. What truly cracks men open is not submission, but sovereign invitation. It is, I can hold your collapse without needing you to rebuild it right away. This is dominance without control. The feminine that is not impressed, but is devoted to the soul behind the armor. In that moment, that's the portal, the core wound of performative love, the trauma of conditional affection that is trying to dress up as discipline. It is reprogramming. From a young age, we were fed that we were always told to be good, to be quiet, be impressive, be useful, then you'll be worthy of love. We have been trained like pets, not honored like souls. We were rewarded for compliance, but then we were punished when we were being authentic. And what happens? We split. We learn to become lovable. We perform for love rather than to trust what we already have. We become these high-achieving son whose worth is wrapped around his output, the pretty, pleasing daughter who learns to shapeshift instead of speaking, the adult who overfunctions, overdelivers, and overgives because resting feels dangerous, the partner who can't receive love without proving that they've earned it. So we grow up exhausted. And now we're returning to this inherent worth. This is why if you're a feminine who is soft, your words, your praise, the way you love feels so disruptive to some men. They have never seen that kind of tenderness. You are offering a love that they have never been taught to digest. And that's the tragedy. A love that asks for nothing in return and they don't know how to receive it. A gaze that doesn't have to measure, a touch that doesn't tally. And then you tell them, you are beautiful just the way you are. You are reprogramming this architecture of what love is. You are saying you're not just a dog waiting for a treat. You are a temple, a son of God, a divine emanation of being, whether you produce, protect, perform, or do nothing at all. This is the difference between transactional validation and sovereign love. And that is why if you are around babies, you look at a baby, it disarms us because their presence, we remember the truth. they're just inherently worthy of love. Like they are love. You look at a baby and you're just like, I immediately love you. It's like, how can you not love a baby? And you realize I didn't need to earn love when I arrived here. Somewhere along the way, I just forgot. And now I have to perform. The real alchemy of love, at the core of all love, all sex, all union, is this one single truth: to be seen, truly seen, and still held. Not because you're perfect or you have to prove yourself worthy, but because your existence is enough. Because your soul is beautiful in its undoing and in its rising. It starts with loving ourselves. And if you can't love yourself, you cannot love someone else. This is the love that unhooks you from performance, that doesn't flinch at your rage or shrink from your sadness. It says, I see your ruin. I see the rawness, the beauty, and all the bad things. I see it all, and I'm still here. That's not romance. That's spiritual architecture. That's what creates everlasting love, not a feeling, but a structure of safety where two people can fully exist. Real intimacy is a sacred act of witnessing. To truly be intimate is to let someone see the bruises of your childhood, to taste the ache of your longing, touch the places where shame still lingers, where your silence behind the loudest parts, and you still stay. And you still say, yes, even here. You collapse the illusion of separateness, and your heart doesn't just meet, they merge. They become one harmonic field that holds the paradox of human love. It is messy and divine, shattered and sovereign, erotic and eternal. This is the new love paradigm. It's not, I love you when, but I love you through. Not, make me feel good, but let me meet you in truth. Let's use our bodies to remember God. I want to share what my friend Leela was asking me. She mentioned about twin flames. And one of the biggest misconceptions about twin flames is that that other person is just mirroring what is inside of you. We all have that flame. Some people might have a little ember of flame. And the more you cultivate this flame inside of you, this life force, then you will feel more pleasure, more desire. The more you live in your truth, that one flame starts to create two flames. You are your own twin flame. You are your own soulmate. And the other people are just kind of the energetic coherence of what you're feeling inside. If you want a partner that is very embodied, who respects you, who loves you, who spoils you, do that with yourself first. And trust me, they will just be magnetized by you. Clear patterns within yourself. And again, everybody is a mirror. So if you don't have the relationship that you want, that is because you might still have codependency patterns. You might still have abandonment wounds, mother wounds, father wounds, whatever it is. It's just physics, you know? You attract who you are and resonant with. And we don't have to make it complicated, but you are your own soulmate. It's nobody else. And the other people just get attracted to you because that means you are incoherent and you gravitate them. Let's seal it with a blessing. May your love be a temple. May your bodies be instruments of remembrance. May your voice call each other home. And when you fall out of sync, as humans do, may your devotion align you faster than your fear can scatter you. This is how we build love that lasts, not through performance, but through presence, not through image, but through initiation. You're not just lovers, you are soul mirrors. So keep reflecting, keep returning, and keep choosing each other in the rawest, realest, most ravishing truth. And again, thank you so much for watching. Follow my newsletter down below. I have my one-on-one sessions, my fire series. I also have meditations. Make sure to follow me on socials. And until next time, I'm God, I'm sovereign, and I'm free. Peace.